Well, I guess that I am, Chris, because here we are live. Well, welcome into an NFL show. This is Chris Allen, Adam Wilde, and it's pretty obvious what we're doing. We're 3 rounds into an Underdog Superflex big board draft here. In quarterback position is crazy. So I start with Tua as my QB1 as the 3rd round pick. And
Lord have
it's just,
mercy.
I mean, you have to pass on Tyreek Hill to take Tua. How insane is that? But I mean, I might be able to get a Tyreek Hill pick. Nope, there goes Tyreek Hill. So we're coming up with our 4th pick here, and then we'll do another pick, another draft from the start here. But so right now I have Cooper Kupp, I have Justin Jefferson, and I've got Tua. Is it time to break the running back seal with Alvin Kamara, or are we just going to keep going? Wide
I would say
receiver.
no, like I'd say hit quarterback again. Because if not, I mean, you're going to be
Matt Ryan, because
your
we can
next
still
quarterback is going to be
we
like
could get
Matt
Daniel Jones
Corral.
and Malik Willis. We got this. We got this.
Is Malik Willis even really?
No,
Look at what you've done. Oh my God, you're about to time out, aren't
no.
you?
Who did we get? Who did we get? Oh, AJ Brown. That's who I was going to click.
Oh, okay. That's
Look,
why you
man,
got to star a bunch of guys.
content sake. Okay, we've got
Well, I
three.
mean, it worked
Nobody's going
out.
3 wide receivers. Nobody's going through. So we've got Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Tua, AJ Brown, and look, I've been grinding these. You're just going to have to look out for Malik Willis. You got to look out for Daniel Jones.
You got to
It's tough, man.
pray
I mean,
the Seahawks take him at 9, and
yeah,
then
or the Falcons.
or the Falcons. I mean, you could probably get Marcus Mariota here in a little bit if you wanted to.
Yeah, you can. You can mark. I don't take them much.
I've
Isn't
been
it so
taking him.
weird? Like, I just don't think that. How do you go into the season with Marcus Mariota as your starting quarterback?
Well, I mean,
You
that's
just
not
do, I
by
guess.
choice. I mean, well, no. If you look at the Falcons and the contracts that they've held over the past few seasons, and the fact that they sunk their 1st-round pick into Kyle Pitts, yeah, it's not by design. Well, I guess it is by design, but it's not by choice. If you get what I'm saying, like
Kinda. I mean,
these are the
is it like Jared
consequences of their
Goff?
own
You're just trying to
actions.
throw the season. Like, if that's your plan, good on you. I mean, the Kyle Pitts pick makes more sense if you're trying to throw the season this year. Take Kyle Pitts
Yeah,
last year and then just throw the season this year. Why not roll out Marcus Mariota? But how do you justify to like your fan base that the best you could do, especially with Baker Mayfield being available for like a 6th-round pick?
well, yeah, but I guess probably a lot of folks think that Baker Mayfield is tarnished goods at this point.
He's better than Mariota. He's bad. Come on, man. Yes, he is. He is definitely better than Marcus
I,
Mariota.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
If anything, he's
Maybe I'm
better
being
for
mean
the
to
future of
Baker.
your franchise
Why?
because Marcus Mariota, at his age and what we've seen from him in the NFL, he can't turn into anything. And then, but Baker Mayfield has the point where you've got 4 head coaches and 3 coordinators, or maybe I've got that backwards. You had to work with Freddie Kitchens for a year and a half. Like,
Well, that's
yeah,
true.
Baker's not good, but Marcus Mariota is bona fide bad with 0 excuses. So if you don't toss a 6th-round pick that you're going to screw up anyways at Baker Mayfield, there's no justification out there.
Well, I guess at this point, the justification is that the Falcons need as much draft capital as they can. Even if it's going to be draft capital that they're going to wind up using to leverage into making like other picks or like turn those picks into players or whatever the case may be at this point in their franchise, like the plan for their future, they need everything they can get. So unless that pick is going to turn into something that they see becoming their future, I don't think they have a leg to stand on in terms of using a 6th-round pick for Baker, unless they think Baker is going to be a long-term option for them. And I don't see why they would think that at this point.
Okay, so does Baker end up with the Panthers? Because that's where he's being his new tweet today, the most likely destination.
Well, Matt
He seems like a
Rule.
Panther to me.
Well, Matt Rule probably needs as many excuses as he possibly can in order to keep his job. So sure, he could, if he wants to spin the narrative of, I can remake him or I can remold him, even though they just tried the same thing with Sam Darnold. Okay, fine.
Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield are so They're like the exact same story, except for I thought that Darnold. I mean, come on, Adam Gase is about as bad as you get.
Yeah,
Um,
I think I had more
we've
concerns about Baker, to be quite honest, like coming out of college. And that was just more from like like what he can do, like outside of structure, but then two, his problems with some of those like outbreaking routes. And so I think that you've seen a lot of that manifest itself over the past like couple of seasons, especially with like Odell
right.
Beckham's dad kind of
We've
bringing
got a
that to
pick
light.
to make here. We got a pick to make here, and we got a big decision. Look, I are we going full zero RB because we compare Jalen Waddle with Tua right now?
Yeah, you hit that stack. I mean, if we're just going to do this, what quarterbacks are even left right now? Because I just saw Zach Wilson go.
Daniel Jones, Jameis Winston. Maybe on our next pick, we have to hammer a quarterback here
Yeah,
in
we might as
that
well hit the
tier.
stack and roll,
Oof.
lean into it. I mean, at this point, and I think this is one thing that drafters wind up doing is that you either this exact thing happens where you auto a player like in a fast draft or even in a slow draft. If you auto a player, misclick a player, or the player that you want gets quote unquote sniped, and you're trying to figure out, well, what do I do? And I think a lot of us wind up fumbling with coming up with
Yeah,
what our plan B
you
is
get
going to
scared.
be. Yeah, you get
You get
scared.
scared. You just keep taking the best value. You're gonna get. I mean, you're not gonna get three good quarterbacks, but uh, you can play with Tua and Daniel Jones if you have a stacked roster. Which I mean, this wide receiver group is downright nasty.
Well, at
So
this point, you have to
we'll see
play
what
to your
running back does.
strength
But
because
right,
if you pivot, like let's say if you had pivoted at the let's say at the AJ Brown pick and gone like Ryan Tannehill, it would have been
yeah,
fine, but you're trying to make up for quote unquote the positional scarcity that you're just never going to make up for.
sure,
Unless
right,
like because Tua, the combination of Tua and Ryan Tannehill is never going to make up for the guy that drafted, I don't know, like Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes
sure.
earlier, if that's the combination or whatever the case may be.
Daniel
So
Jones here, right? Daniel
yeah,
Jones over Jameis Winston.
yeah, I'd say that's fine. Yeah.
I'm so happy with like that's dude, that's fine. Like if
Yeah.
I have to sacrifice having competent quarterbacks to get these four wide receivers, and in doing these drafts, running back is just so far down the list of people's priorities in these drafts. It seems like it's an overcorrection for last year
Mhm.
when there was the big zero RB war. And now people just feel like, okay, I can just we'll get running backs later because we had like so many Leonard Fournettes last year. Even Josh Jacobs made good on his ADP. That was a little bit later. He was even on the back end of the RB dead zone. So
Yeah.
you'll find running backs here later. I bet you at our next pick, there's going to be running back that we're decently happy with being as our first pick. And like, I want to mention a stack of three. There's three players in a row at running back that I've just been hitting back to back when I'm at turns. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Miles Sanders, and Chase Edmonds are all at like 111 through 113. And it's just like, okay, I mean, I can do that. I can have my top two running backs be two of those.
Man, just
Um,
get that full on Miami stack and just prioritize Edwards or not Edwards, Edmonds
Edmonds,
rather.
sure,
Yeah.
but especially as the pass catcher. But yeah, I mean, CH isn't a sexy name. I mean, Edmonds is kind of a sexy name, and in that,
Miles
like, he just
Sanders, according to everybody, well, I would say that from an efficiency standpoint, he wasn't great. I mean, fairly high up according to Football Outsiders, if I remember correctly, in terms of success rate. But I think he had 20 or 21 red zone carries with zero red zone touchdowns like last year,
okay.
which
So I
is
mean,
not great.
that's gotta turn around,
But people
and
don't
it's
look at
not
that. They just see the zero in the touchdown column and think that he sucks.
fair, and it's not even that. He doesn't have competition for those touches going forward. I believe
Because
in Kenneth Gainwell, but not as someone who's
that's a
taking
good
his.
conversation starter right there. Like, is Kenneth Gainwell good?
Oh, I think it.
I mean,
I
did
think
he
he's better than
really
expectation.
really he was better than expectation? Because
Third
the
round pick, right? Like,
from what I heard about him, and I'll be 100% honest, when I hear a ton of hype about a player and the hype gets to the point where the expectation is that he's going to immediately supplant the guy that's in front of him, for some reason like my mind just like turns off and I don't watch or like really pay attention to that guy, and I just
yeah,
hate that
that's
guy
fair.
for no reason. And that's a blind spot in my own process, and I'll 100% admit that. But I didn't really see him take over for Miles Sanders. I didn't see him outplay Miles Sanders. So I'm just not
it's
sure if he really met those expectations from what I saw on the timeline for after he got even third round draft capital. It's not bad. It ain't great, but
sure.
from the expectations that he was just going to completely blow Miles Sanders out of the water, Miles Sanders was still a starting running back when they were in the playoffs.
And that's a fair point to make, but I mean, well, with Miles Sanders getting injured, also that put a little bit of spotlight on him. But there's a difference between what his draft expectations were for the NFL and what they were for fantasy, because that was completely
Yeah,
unrealistic
and
for
that was
what.
probably our echo chamber of folks that
Right.
are hyped on play, and we do this almost every year, right? We'll
Sure.
because not to say that this is in the same vein at all, but the discussion about is it Brees Hall, is it Kenneth Walker, is it Isaiah Spiller? Where Brees Hall, I think you can see the comps between him and somebody like Jonathan Taylor in terms of like all world prospect level type hype,
Right.
but and I think that the hype there is warranted. But once we get into these fringe guys that we might be paying like second round prices for, like in our dynasty drafts and so on, like a rookie drafts and so on and so forth, does the hype match the realistic expectation, and does the
Right.
realistic expectation actually meet reality, which is what we saw with
No.
Walker, or not Walker,
So we
Gainwell in year
got.
one.
I was gonna propose to you after you made your point to go Malik here, but now I've kind of have to ask you your opinion in 15 seconds on Elijah Mitchell.
I wouldn't.
Golf, maybe.
Yeah, I would take it.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's what, third quarterback?
Yeah,
That's not.
I'm
I mean,
I'm all right with
again,
it.
yeah. And then I would actually after that, let's see,
I'll just leave the screen up to come back.
look at the
Running
available
backs.
wide receivers. Nah, forget that. Allen Robinson, and then call it good. Take Allen Robinson or Brandon Cooks, and then call
Okay,
it
so
good.
Alan, I've been going Chris Godwin here. Are you overly concerned with his injury?
Yes. Like for
Hmm,
Godwin, yes. I mean,
okay.
he tore
I don't think they
his.
sign him to a brand new contract if there's concern to be had.
Uh,
They
I
know
mean, but
better than us.
it was more of a long-term thing since he had already spent the last season on the franchise tag. So if they want to make sure
They
that
could have let him go.
they could have, but not with Tom Brady coming back, and they knew that
Yeah,
at the
but
time.
how?
Like,
But how? What's the point in bringing him back if? Well, all right. Let's make this decision first. I mean, okay, if you're a little concerned, are you concerned enough to not go Godwin over? Definitely over Brown. Definitely over St. Brown.
what's the case
Maybe
for
Mooney.
Godwin over Brandon Cooks?
Playing with Tom Brady in a significantly better offense with much more points to be scored.
But for less games at a smaller target share.
I'll take Cooks, but I disagree that he'll have less games. Um, oh, we accidentally got Godwin. Whoops, my bad.
You did that on
No,
purpose.
I'll disagree with that. I mean, if anything, between those two players, it's hard for you to make a case that Cooks is going to be like the you know, every going to make every game. I wouldn't argue that he's injury prone like most do, but I
Actually,
don't think that
other
he's
than
I
COVID,
don't
did
think
he
he's
miss a
the
game
Iron
last year?
Man. Um,
No,
well,
he
we've got a
played
big
16 games.
yeah. I mean, I guess I mean, you're right. He did play 16 games last year, but I just don't know that. Why are you counting any games out for Godwin?
Because he tore his ACL in, like, what was it, December?
No, he's not expected to miss any games. He's supposed to be back by camp.
He's
Let's
expected to
see how
miss games.
many.
They wouldn't have brought Russell Gage in if there was like zero chance that Godwin was going to be missing any games.
Why would they not have replaced Tyler Johnson? What has Tyler Johnson done to warrant being on the football field at any point in time?
Because they want to
If
be
anything, he's been the
100%
disappointment.
sure that they have as many dudes as possible for them to catch footballs from Tom Brady. Just let's make sure we've got all the dudes that we can possibly have and be done with it, and just have as many pass catchers involved as we possibly can for Tom Brady, and that's it. After 2 years, then just tear the whole house down. But
I'm looking at his most recent notes. Week 14, he tore his ACL.
Yeah,
Still had 1,100, 5 touchdowns, 98 receptions. Tagged him, re-signed him, yada yada. Free agent again when he's 29. Yeah, they didn't even care to mention the injury
well, they
because
didn't.
he's playing. He's playing
He ain't playing
week
week
one.
one. He ain't playing week one.
I'll bet you a 6-pack right now. He's
A
playing week
deal.
1. Deal.
And then
Double deal.
when the
Deal, double
first
deal.
when the first like blurb from NBC Sports Edge comes out about concerns about Godwin's return timetable,
Week 1 availability.
week one availability in question, and then you and I are both going to be talking about playing Russell Gage and Cash in week one. I guarantee you. I can guarantee you that we're going to be playing Russell Gage and Cash week one.
I mean, if he fits, I'll play it. But
he's going to be
just...
like less than 5K. He is not going to be appropriately priced.
By the way,
Chris Godwin's going to be out.
We're looking down the barrel of getting Kenneth Walker as our running back 1 here in the 10th round, 9th round.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, that would
actually. Who else is available?
At what position?
At RB.
So wide receiver dries up like you got to go wide receiver heavy in these drafts. Quarterback is gone by the 4th round, and then wide receivers. So here's the tiers of player that I showed you right here. These 3 always in a row. You just take 2 of them.
Yeah, Edmonds and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Boom, done.
Yeah, I'm with it too, especially since Walker just went. What about Cordero Patterson for you? I mean, I think maybe I'm the loser for not ever clicking on his name, but I just can't bring myself to do it.
Well, not to say that he was like highly efficient like last season, but that was with a different quarterback that we know is more prone to check downs because he was the one that made Devonta Freeman one of the superstars that he was in his time. And now is Marcus Mariota going to do the same thing if we assume it's going to be Mariota under center? And I say no. So
yeah, that's fair.
I mean, even still,
run.
Right, but I guess now I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. The flip side of that same coin is the fact that who else is going to get targets? Pitts and Auden Tate and
don't sleep on Auden Tate, man.
Of course, it's Auden Tate, wide receiver 1 season. All right, he is one of my Bengals. Bengals.
I've always loved Auden Tate, especially in preseason showdown.
Yeah, I mean, so the man will ascend to wide receiver 1, but still, outside of it's really so. I guess from a target share or target competition standpoint, I can see Patterson and I do think he is appropriately valued. One, just because of the offense that the target competition he finds himself in, and then also the efficiency that he showed on the volume that he had last year.
Sure. So we're looking at CEH and Miles Sanders here at CEH for you.
Oh, somebody took Edmonds rather.
No, we took Edmonds.
Oh, you already. Oh, it's on the
wraparound. Yeah. So we've got Penny, Sanders, and Helaire to look at here. CH pretty easily, right?
Yeah. I think so.
How can we knock CH so much that he's drafted around the same spot as Ronald Jones right here at 131, but nobody likes Ronald Jones? That doesn't make any sense. It feels like we're doing the same thing that we did with Leonard Fournette last year when he was being drafted behind Ronald Jones.
Yeah, maybe I would have gone Miles Sanders ahead of him. I didn't see he was still there. Oh, well.
I mean, Miles Sanders and CH is a fine discussion to have, but I don't think that Ronald Jones and CH is a fine discussion to have.
Oh, no. That's more of the role that who was it? Derek Gore played behind CEH last year, where it was more of maybe some third downs. If they're well ahead and they just it comes in the fourth quarter when
and he'll have 100 yards.
And he'll break one off for 60 yards or something like that. That's what I see Ronald Jones's role being.
Right, I agree.
Where he'll just have, because Ronald Jones is probably going to win somebody a milli this season. Because he's going to be that player that nobody's going to want to play because nobody's going to want to play either of them. And
look at DK Metcalf's ADP too,
which I think is kind of ridiculous. But
I agree. I mean, I guess
But I don't. But actually, take that back because look at Terry McLaurin's ADP. Like honestly, what's the difference
Yeah,
between Terry McLaurin and Brandon Cooks?
fair. Well, yeah, I'd rather have Brandon Cooks 3 rounds later.
Bingo.
So I mean, but you could say that with 10 players for Brandon Cooks in my mind.
Yeah.
Just happens that Godwin's not one of them to me, but Brandon Cooks, I always would prefer over a lot of players, and then you just have to wait on them. But yeah, DK Metcalf just feels like he. I mean, yes, he got a really poor downgrade at quarterback, but he's still incredible. I
Yeah.
mean, he's a
I would
tier
still expect
above
the targets are going to
Williams,
be
tier
there.
above Judy.
Yeah.
Um,
Although I'm really high on Mike Williams. I think this year is the year that he
yeah, but
supplants like Keenan Allen as like the wide
well,
receiver one.
he's got to eventually, but also he's got to remain healthy, which is a concern
It's
for
going to
him. Which,
happen this year,
yeah.
or else I'm going to be out a lot of money. Like I need it to happen this year.
Are we drafting Sammy Watkins in best ball now, or what?
Absolutely not.
No,
No, I can't do it.
he's gonna win your week 1.
No, he's going to be another. It's going to be a Millie Maker lineup with Ronald Jones and Sammy Watkins on it. Calling it now.
Yep. I'm about to show you something even more ridiculous. Which rookie wide receiver do you see that has not left the board yet?
So let's see. I see Olave, I see London. Where's Garrett? There's Treylon Burks. Now
Garrett
there's
Wilson's
Garrett.
here.
So no
Who's
Jameson.
left? How crazy is that?
Well, I mean that's not too crazy because everybody's just going to think about the ACL injury and just be like, I'm not going to draft
Okay,
him.
but that's someone I'm very prepared with the research on, and he is not missing games.
Oh, yeah, that one's fair. I'm saying that's what the market is thinking. The market will then just look at, oh, he just recently tore his ACL. There's no way he's going to be ready by the time that week 1 rolls around. So
Right.
regardless of whoever drafts him, I don't care. I'm not going to draft him.
I think that in best ball at his ADP, keep ADP in mind. I think that Jameson Williams is and there goes Jameson Williams.
Yep.
I think he's my favorite wide receiver in this class for best ball. He's not my dynasty wide receiver 1.
Well, think about the closing line value post NFL draft, because if we're already assuming he's going to go in the first round, or at least the discussion is that he's going to be going in the first round. So let's say 1, he gets the first round draft capital, and then 2, all right, yeah, who else we got?
So we don't have to go tight end yet. We're going to get like Noah Fant and Schultz in them or later, but God, Tony or Gage. You were excited about Gage. Rondell
what about
Moore
Ramondre?
is there.
What about Ramondre?
Yeah, okay. Sure. Do not hate it. I did not hate it because running back's pretty. Although if we had more time, maybe I make the case for Spiller just because I think Spiller's floor is probably Ramondre Stevenson's same position. Like I'm not saying that Spiller's production floor is the same as Ramondre Stevenson, but I think in terms of draft position, Isaiah Spiller's floor is kind of like the 1B or 1C that Ramondre Stevenson is.
You can probably talk me into that. Yeah.
Yeah, but then Spiller has like, he doesn't have 3 down upside in my mind, but he has like lead roll upside in my mind.
And I do wonder what the Patriots offense looks like if they wind up getting not any of the top 5 like wide receivers in this class, but let's say if they wind up grabbing like a Pickens or maybe Jahan Doxson. Like somewhere like something in those lines where the guy that can add some juice to that offense. So then it starts to open up things underneath, which could spell good things for guys like Jacoby Myers, Johnny Smith, like so on and so forth. Right. But what about Ramondre Stevenson as well?
Yeah, that's fair. But then this year you're going to have to make a decision between Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson because their ADPs are very close. Yeah. So I think I'd still rather Damian Harris.
I think so too. But
you have to choose between the 2.
Pull up the board. What's the gap in ADP? Like at least a round?
We're up next pick, and then I'll check it out. Yeah. I like Lazard and Boyd here, but I also still like Spiller. I don't mind going another running back because running back's going to be dried up here pretty soon.
I'd take Lazard. I would,
Yeah,
yeah,
over
I'd take
Boyd
him.
and Moore.
Uh,
Well, Lazard just went, so Boyd,
More.
Moore, Spiller.
Or why not? Why not
Sons.
Gage? But no, I'd probably take Rondo
I
more.
see it, but I
I
think
say more.
more.
Yeah.
I see more upside with Moore, but I mean I see them both. They're kind of in the same position.
Okay, you're.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I got the star. I got the star. I got the star.
No, you didn't. Oh my god.
Don't worry about it. We got him. We
No, you
got him.
didn't.
We
No, you
got him.
didn't.
We got
No, you
him.
didn't. You didn't get him.
We got Zach Ertz. Exactly who I wanted.
Oh my god.
So,
How does your network keep doing this?
That's actually unfortunate because if you scroll down a little bit, like look how many options are available later. It's kind of absurd that anybody's taking tight ends any earlier because I mean Noah Fant is down here at 165. Everett Higbee. So I've been doing 2 of Everett Higbee and Fant a lot.
I don't know about
let's
Everett.
go back to the.
Sell me on Everett.
I mean, he's fine that late. That's pretty much it. He's just so late that.
All right, so you're not in on Everett the player. You're in on Everett the cost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because not having to think about tight end for that long is so nice. Like Zach Ertz actually is not a bad pick there if you don't know that you can get Fant in 2 rounds. So that's kind of crazy to me.
Yeah.
Right, so let's check out where
did Damien Harris go?
Damien Harris. Looking for Green.
There he is.
Damien Harris went up here.
901.
9th. And then we got Ramondre Stevenson in the 11th. And that's about, I mean, front and back. Only about a round and a few picks separating them.
I don't know. Let's pull up. I mean, were they that far off? So let's say in half point PPR.
The problem is they didn't play. I mean, they played games together, but they played a lot of games alone as well. Damien Harris played some games without Stevenson. I believe Stevenson was a healthy scratch a few times.
And so that's kind of my thing. It's like on a points per game basis, does that much? Okay, Damien Harris 13.4 points per game. Ramondre Stevenson was down at like 9 points per game. So
I think Harris looked like the better back too when they were both playing.
I'm wondering if that's
we're just talking ourselves into it as a community. I think.
Well, I'm wondering if that's mostly fueled by touchdowns. Damien Harris had 15 touchdowns.
Yeah.
No. Wow. All right. I didn't know he had that many touchdowns. Yeah, and Ramondre had 5. What? 15 touchdowns? Wow. I did not know he had that many touchdowns.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. All right, we're up in 2 picks, and if Spiller's still there, he's I think he's a good pick at RB4.
Damien Harris just like fancy James Conner. My God.
No, James Conner is fancy Damien Harris. We've got one more pick. Cross your fingers.
You want Spiller?
No. I think so. Yeah, I think so because there's a pretty big drop off here after Spiller.
I think that's fine, especially with the 3 that you've already selected at this point. Taking one of the rookies, I don't think is one of the rookies that we assume is going to be one of the better ones in this class. Is
like involved.
Yeah.
So I like Isaiah Spiller here. What do you think about Robinson?
It's just too late in the season, where he got hurt.
Yeah.
So
and that wasn't an ACL, so I'm not going to make the argument.
That one's definitely a no-go for me. I can't justify it.
When he falls sometimes he falls 2 rounds behind where we're at right now, and I do take him on as my at RB5. Even if he has Cam Akers production, and to be honest, if that phrase sounds silly, but we haven't seen Cam Akers have James Robinson production.
Right.
It's just the draft capital is so different that it's like Cam Akers is such a shiny name and James Robinson is like, oh, he's pretty good. No, he's very, very good. So if James Robinson even came back and had Cam Akers type production, which Cam Akers was splitting a backfield too when he came back, then it's like,
And like, but
Okay, I
Cam
guess it's
Akers
fine.
was splitting a backfield with, let's say, two lesser talents. We have to assume ETN, even though he's coming off of his own injury, has to be at, or hopefully, considering the Jaguars sunk significant draft
It's
capital into
it's
him just the season beforehand,
it's
he's
tough to
better than
say.
James Robinson.
It's tough to say though, because you kind of have to forget that James Robinson was undrafted.
Yeah, UDFA.
We've got a pick here. We've got a pick here, and
Hopefully your internet doesn't go out again.
yeah, wide receiver is what I'm thinking here.
Yeah, who's available?
We've got Fuller, Chark, Parker, Davis,
Curtis
Samuel,
Samuel.
Landry. Yep, agreed. Hammer
Okay.
Parker was my pick, but I'll take it.
Actually, scroll down and see who else is there. Like, I
It's
like
too
James
late now, but let's
Washington,
see.
like much later.
Exact.
Van
Robbie
Jefferson is
Anderson.
Van
I
Jefferson is
love
smoked
Anderson.
now with Allen Robinson coming in and Odo Beckham
I know.
possibly coming
Look at the
back.
variance in these names. This is such a weird range where it's like, so Robbie Anderson to me should have gone a couple rounds ago, but so should have Curtis Samuel. So
Yeah.
I have to assume that somehow the quarterback play improves for the Panthers. Even if it's
How?
just Sam Darnold, I have to think he can at least play better than he did.
Maybe if you want to talk yourself into he didn't really know like the Matt Rule's like verbiage on
Started out with
offense.
mono, like he missed 6 weeks.
Yeah, and like it took him some time to get acclimated to the offense and blah 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 blah, and just poor offensive line, which he's historically struggled behind or struggled with, not really being able to adapt to pressure, blah 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 blah. But it's
So if you
not
have
like,
to draft one, are you drafting Baker Mayfield or are you drafting Sam Darnold this
do
year?
I have to draft either?
Yeah, and it's super flex, and you're just in a terrible spot. You need one of them, and you need games out of one of them. Who are you going to
Give
bet to get games out of?
Sam Darnold.
Hmm.
Sam Darnold, like he rushed for
There's
6 touchdowns in like 4 games at the beginning of last season.
Yeah, he actually looked kind of exciting at the beginning of last year, but I'll say there's more outs with Baker Mayfield because you could still get injuries for him to get into next year. Sam Darnold's under contract. Like nobody's trying to trade for Sam Darnold. The Browns are actively trying to get rid of Baker Mayfield. So if somebody goes
Yep.
down, Baker Mayfield's first call. So if I have to take like a QB3, my team's just like disgustingly good. But I just ignored
When's the
quarterbacks
last
in
time that
Superflex. I'll
happened?
take
I'm honestly like
somebody
trying
went
to
down.
like a
Well,
quarterback trade in season.
uh,
Does that
we'd
ever
have to
happen?
think about it a little bit. Oh, I'm sure. I feel like Cam Newton subbed in, um, but I'm not certain. No, because he was injured. He was injured when he left the team, so it wasn't Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd have to think about that. There's definitely got to be some situations in there over let's just say the 2000s that
Yeah.
there's been trades for quarterbacks. It's at least a talking point, more so with running back, I guess. A lot of times for running backs that are on the block. I know Sonny Michel was traded in season. It was preseason,
Oh yeah,
but
that's what Bill Belichick was waiting to get rid of his ass.
yeah. I don't know about Bill the GM, man. I think Bill the GM gets a lot of credit because of Bill the coach.
Yeah, I guess just Bill Belichick in general. But yeah, the different facets to his career, I think, is what some folks. I think that'd be a really good book, almost like a 3-part series, like
Yeah.
like Bill Belichick, the defensive mastermind, Bill Belichick, the head coach, and then Bill Belichick, the GM. And those could be told like the same stories, but from like different perspectives.
Right.
Almost like how
Is
what
he
is
a
it?
Hall of Famer in all 3? No way. I don't think he's a
No.
Hall of Famer as a GM.
Can't be as a GM, but maybe
Probably
the
as
other
a head
two.
coach. Yeah, head coach and defensive mind, I guess, since he's not big on titles.
Yeah, because I think
He's
he's
essentially
been
been
one of
the
the
defensive
guys.
coordinator.
Yeah, because like the way that he's constructed the Patriots defense over the years, I think he's been the one to spot some of the trends on offense that's allowed him to build the defenses to stop some of those guys. I think even like last season, the types of linebackers and corners they were using, instead of using like some of the smaller,
Higbee
skinnier
here,
guys,
real quick.
Higbee
Oh, Higbee
or
just went.
Irv
So
Smith, or he
Irv
gone
Smith's
too? No,
gone.
Irv Smith just went too.
Logan Thomas is too scary, man. I mean, the team's about Evan Ingram's not great. We could go DJ Chark.
No, I take Logan Thomas. What's the case
You
against
think so?
What's the case against him?
None I can make in 7 seconds. I would say the team's terrible, quarterback's terrible.
We just drafted
Towards
Curtis
ACL
Samuel.
last year. Which is actually more of a reason to not take Logan Thomas in my opinion, because you're not getting two out of that.
We're just like loading up on them. We don't even have Carson Wentz. Actually, maybe that could be a good thing.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, if you we'll start getting into DFS conversation on the show in the future, and that is one tactic I know in Showdown. I would play the Chiefs Showdowns even when they were like on main slate. And you could always run Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce with no Patrick Mahomes. You could run like 4x1s with the opposing team.
Wasn't that the part
Hill
of the winning lineup? What is it in the divisional round when they played the Bills?
What was it, a 4x2 with just Kelce and Hill? Maybe
I thought so. And they just run like Allen. It was like Allen and
you're right. Gabe Davis captain. I made money on that slate. It was Gabe Davis captain.
And just don't play Mahomes.
Kelce, Diggs.
I think it was like Kelce at captain. Or no, yeah, you're right.
No,
Gabe Davis
it had
at
to have
captain.
been Gabe Davis. He had 4 touchdowns.
And
he was, but the only reason you could do it is because we're on the clock. The only reason you could do it is because he was so incredibly cheap.
Yeah.
You said you like James Washington. I kind of like Donovan Peoples-Jones. I really like Robbie Anderson over all these guys. I think that
I have no issue there.
Okay.
Yes,
I think he's got the best case for like being involved, even albeit a terrible offense amongst those guys. So yeah, that was an interesting slate because the only reason you could stack up on those 4 guys, I even think Diggs might have been in it.
That wouldn't surprise me.
That sounds like it's getting expensive.
Because I thought
Gabe Davis was 3K.
I thought
he only had like 15 points, but still he was in it, I think.
Let me see. Like, did he crack 100 yards against them? No, he was on like 4
Zach
for 60.
Moss was only like 600, I think.
Oh, okay.
I bet you it was probably Gabe Davis captain, Hill, Kelce, Allen, Diggs, Moss. That's what my guess is.
That would not surprise me.
Moss was 600 and he only scored like 6 points, but he was still in the optimal. Gabe Davis was like 3K.
Yeah, because Diggs was only actually in that game against the Chiefs, Diggs was only like he only had 3 receptions for 7 yards. It really was just him. So maybe you could run like Gabe Davis and Beasley.
What did Beasley do?
6 for 60.
Yeah, it might have been.
I could have done it right there. Fade Diggs.
No, I think the reason I did make money is because I always go to running backs. So maybe what did Singletary do? It might have been Singletary and Moss.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how involved Singletary was, but I'm pretty sure I ran 2 running. Okay. Yeah, it was probably Moss, Singletary, Gabe Davis, Kelce, Hill.
26 yards and a touch, and then he was
couple receptions.
4 for 25 as a receiver.
Yeah, he was probably in it.
More than enough to get it done.
Yeah. Especially since Gabe Davis had all the touchdowns, right?
So all you needed was that, and then the salary to fit in Tyreek
and Diggs did nothing. So just fading Diggs was probably like 39% owned. So
Mahomes was probably at least 40.
Yeah, probably 40-ish with Allen, and then I bet you like Robinson and Pringle were probably super popular, like in the 20% range because nobody had any money because they were trying to go Allen and Mahomes.
Yep. I played Pringle.
That was a fun slate. I always played Pringle.
Yeah, he got a touchdown, but I don't think he did much else other than that.
Yeah, because I remember being up a lot of money and then not actually coming away with that much money. So definitely played a lot of Pringle.
Yeah.
The slates are always fun because too many people always played Mecole, not knowing that if you just go to Football Guys and look at their snap counts, Mecole was like wide receiver 4 on the year in snap count. Even Josh Gordon had more snaps with him by the end of the year.
It was basically like Mecole at that point was like fighting with D-Rob for routes. Not even targets, just routes.
Oh yeah, maybe routes. He was losing snap share to Robinson. He was 4th.
Yeah,
4th, and then ended the year 5th behind Gordon. All right, so I've been liking Callaway here. I think that Callaway's got a lot of upside. Callaway, Hamler's decent. Keyshawn Vaughn's an okay shot. Brissett's going to give you some games.
Josh
Who else do
Palmer,
we have? Palmer's fine. Palmer's
Braxton
fine.
Berrios.
Yeah, you can get him a lot later though.
Yeah, a lot of these guys are fine.
Callaway's got a lot of upside. We do need another running back soon.
Yeah,
James Cook could be a decent dart.
like
Eno
Donta
Benjamin,
Foreman?
I've been taking a lot. Yeah, we could go down to Foreman.
Yeah,
Sure. Who's you taking as the first running back off the board between CMC and JT?
it's been JT for me. Although I like you could talk me into CMC, but it's just been for me it's been Jonathan Taylor.
I've decided to tell myself that Nyheim Hines is going to be more involved this year because that was just absolute blasphemy last season. No way to explain it. Even Jonathan Taylor honestly could have still had the same monster season with Nyheim Hines more involved, just because he could have been involved as a receiver. You could have had more two running back sets. It was really, really bad offensive coaching to have Nyheim Hines on the field so little last year. So, I mean, Jonathan Taylor's still obviously comfortably the running back two, and I would take him as the running back one if it were more contrarian. But since it's so consensus that he's the running back one, I'm interested in taking CMC just so that my teams look different than other people at that draft spot.
Right. And I get the concerns, and even if you want to try and I don't think we'll ever get back to CMC. Like we definitely get back to CMC 2019. But just even seeing the efficiency that he showed and the target share that he was earning when he was on the field last year, there's enough juice for him to still be at least number 2 overall.
Sure.
It's just, what is your preference? Like, do you want to swing for the ceiling? Because I think Jonathan Taylor, he could be maxed out at where he's at this point. With CMC, with the receptions and whatnot, those could carry him over the top of Jonathan Taylor. I can squint and see that happening.
That's a very valid point. I think we need to look at this and decide if we need a third tight end or if we want to go 10 wide receivers, 9 wide receivers rather.
No, I'll take another tight end at this point. Yeah, why not?
You think so? Ertz and Thomas.
That's not going to get it done. Yeah, that ain't it.
Yeah. So let's check this. Got Brevin Jordan, maybe.
I was actually going to say, Brevin Jordan. I've been like grabbing him a lot as my tight end 3, but that's typically when I have tight ends like earlier in the draft. But either way,
I wish that it was Ertz, Fant, and Brevin Jordan, but missed that boat just a little because it took Ertz just a little early.
Yeah, it is what it is.
In fact, we got him way past his ADP though.
Yeah,
so I guess I don't hate that too much.
Surprising.
Yeah, I mean it is. I mean, I guess with Kyler Murray talk, you're probably going to be able to get. It's so early in the offseason, man. Why don't we just pretend that the Kyler Murray conversation is not happening and draft Cardinals?
Because we ain't got shit else to do. Of course, we're going to pretend like it's happening because we don't have anything else to do.
Sure, but I mean for best ball purposes, for taking down this tournament purposes, just take Cardinals and just fade the noise because these things have a way of working themselves out. I like Good Morning Football for the entertainment value, but I don't feel like the reporting is necessarily very good most often. But
that's an entertainment show.
Right, which is what it is. It's an entertainment show. So
yeah, like
I love the show.
Yeah,
I
is that Undisputed?
Show, Undisputed is with
Bayless.
Yeah, Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. But anyways, Kyle Brandt actually made a really great point this morning when people were talking about Kyler Murray having so many outside interests, and it's like, yeah, but when you go play for the A's, you're playing for their AAA team to start out. You're not just bat and clean up game one. Like, in his contract, he's going to make no money there, right? And then he's also in FaZe Clan, right? But he's not making NFL money in FaZe Clan. I mean, esports is great and I love watching it, but you're not clearing like $1 million. So
is he streaming?
Yeah, he's in FaZe Clan.
I know he's a part of FaZe Clan, but I'm saying, is he actually playing? Like, is he on a team? Is he actually competing, or even like streaming or anything like that?
What game? I think it might be Warzone. I'll
So let's see.
All right. Well, we can't both look it up. Someone's got to blab their mouths here. We're coming up on a pick.
So then what do we want
and
to do here? We could take a look at one more wide receiver. How many more picks we get? I'd say one wide receiver, maybe one. Actually, take that back.
two
One
wide
running
receivers,
back.
probably.
I would actually say like one running back, one tight end, and call it good since we hit since we hit wide receiver like right.
So hard.
Yeah.
We did hit it really hard. Cup, Jefferson, Brown, Waddle, Godwin, Samuel, Robinson at wide receiver.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad about any of them in my lineup on any given week.
Yeah. So I'm almost thinking
That's
like
good.
one running back, like one tight end, and then call it good.
So, I mean, is Chris Carson just going to retire? If he is, then Rashad Penny should be drafted higher.
Yeah.
So you can't draft Rashad Penny later and also never draft Chris Carson.
What's wrong with Keyshawn Vaughn?
Nothing. I take him. I prefer
else is
Eno
there?
Benjamin. Eno Benjamin is my favorite target here. Hoping he gets in that Chase Edmonds role. I liked him coming out of college.
I was about to say like Myles Gaskin, but we already took Chase Edmonds, didn't we?
Yeah.
Samaje Perine?
Potentially, but what's the case for Perine over like Eno Benjamin? Well, I mean, I guess
Perine sees way more snaps.
Well, yes, but we have to assume that Eno Benjamin's going to see way more snaps this year, unless they draft a running back, which is fair. They could.
Yeah, I could see them drafting a running back, like not one with significant draft capital, but enough.
Not Breece Hall to the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Like what? Isaiah? They're not going to take Isaiah Spiller.
No,
Rashad
it's going to
White.
it's going to be like somebody in like.
It's not going to be Zamir White.
It'll be like a day 3 pick.
Sure, okay.
But enough to bump out Eno Benjamin. But if Samaje Perine is averaging 20% of the snaps on the regular with targets and goal line touches,
you don't have to make too much of a point because Perine might have been my most owned player last year, and it definitely panned out. Except for didn't he blow that one game?
I don't want to hear it. Okay, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to fucking hear it. All right. I was standing at a bar at the Super Bowl. It's not his fault. All right. I don't think it was Perine's fault. It's just the offensive line, and they could have won the Super Bowl, but it's fine. It is fine. It's fine.
I'll draft him because of sympathy. It sucks because he had such a good game, but then he also went the wrong way. Maybe it was because he was tired from having such a good game. Let's put it at that.
I mean, he scored the touchdown against the Raiders that not sealed the deal, but at least put them ahead or put them in a position in order to win. So it's like, or was it against the Raiders? Or no, that was against Tennessee, maybe.
I think we go your boy.
No, it was against Kansas City.
Yeah,
that's where it was.
I remember. Yeah. Forgive me for not remembering every Samaje Perine snap. I'll do better for the next show.
I just remember getting like blackout drunk after every single one of those playoff games.
You remember not remembering anything.
Those were good times, man. Those were good times.
Well, all the way up to the Palmer, Braxton Berrios to close out the draft and the show.
Who's got the better quarterback? Done and done.
Okay. Yes, obviously.
Or why not? Who's still left at tight end, or do they all suck?
We don't. I mean, we got 3 now. We went Brevin.
All right, that's fine.
4.
Yeah, give me Joshua Palmer. Give me Keenan Allen's replacement.
Sure. Let's look at the draft board with everybody for a quick minute and then get out of here.
Your internet's like, you need to change internet providers.
I don't. Who has that option?
I don't know.
Nobody can.
Can we get a sponsor? Can we get into like ISP to sponsor this show?
Look, man, we have listening viewers. They didn't have to know. They didn't have to know that the internet was spotty.
Well, they would have known just by hearing the picks that something had to have been amiss. based off of the
Your team
running
was so
backs.
bad. I was gonna put the draft board as the thumbnail too. They're gonna see the draft board and just say, "Oh, he must have had bad internet that day."
Yep. And then
That
we just
must have
blame it
been
on the
it.
internet. Like they'll just look at the 3 quarterbacks that were drafted and be like, "Oh, something bad happened. That's a super flex draft, and y'all did that on purpose. Something happened."
All right, all right, all right. We're here. We're here.
All
All
right.
right. Let's see. Let's do this. Let's do it this way. Take turns round by round, real quick, rapid fire. Which one stands out to you in each round? And I'll give you the first round. Mostly quarterbacks. What pick stands out to you the most in the first round?
Actually, taking Jonathan Taylor, like still in the first round, I think that one kind of sticks out. I mean,
Interesting.
if you get to that tipping point, so at the like the QB, so it's QB7, QB8 tipping point, and I guess whatever that person's like username is, like making that decision to go Jonathan Taylor there, that's kind of interesting to me. Like, I don't know because I've never done a Superflex draft before, but I think for other drafters, seeing or making that decision beforehand where you're going to make that demarcation, because we talk so much about positional tiers all the time and
Right.
having to jump in between tiers. Like once you get to a certain point, like once a tier in one position's dried up, you jump to the next position. So they made that decision there to do that. So that's interesting to me.
So I feel good about breaking the seal there at 8 or 9, just because you're expecting to get a quarterback here at 16 or 17. Unfortunately, I missed my pick at the second round trying to set up for the show. So I got Justin Jefferson. However, I could have had Jalen Hurts and changed everything.
Yeah.
So that's why I took Cooper Cup at 9, because I knew I could get Jalen Hurts, who I'm very comfortable with as my QB1,
Mm-hmm.
but I also knew that there's an outside shot that I get Matthew Stafford, because these quarterbacks here are usually all shuffled up. I'll say my most interesting pick in the second round is Derrick Henry. Um, I just think that Derrick Henry shouldn't go in the second round. It's a little early for him. I'd prefer Najee Harris still. Maybe Javante, definitely Dalvin Cook. Joe Mixon gets in the conversation with Henry for me. Coming back from injury, I know he played at the knee of the last year. Didn't look great. He's just older now. He's had quite a bit of touches. Is he going to get fed the same? I mean, there's a lot of questions, and I'll still draft him. He's not off my board, but probably not in the second round. I think later in the season, when more people get involved, he's going to start sliding to the third. So I'll let you check out the third and see what stands out the most to you there.
I mean, we're still like, are we really still paying what wide receiver 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 prices for Devontae Adams? Why?
You think lower?
I think just
How
a
much lower?
hair lower,
Yeah.
like maybe two more wide receiver spots. Like if this had been like in Superflex, if he had been down in the like in that run of AJ Brown, Mike Evans, DeAndre Hopkins, T Higgins, like all that, because like sure from a target share perspective, he'll be the wide receiver 1 in his team, but should we expect him to have more targets than CeeDee Lamb at this point? Should we expect him to have more
I think
targets than AJ Brown?
it'll be relatively close, but you get a better offense with CeeDee Lamb, in my opinion. I still prefer Tyreek Hill over Devontae Adams. I think Tyreek Hill should go a little bit earlier. Devontae Adams should go a little bit later, and they should be neck and neck
Yeah,
there in
I'm
the fourth
saying
round.
completely like, drop their prices and just sell everything. But man, like over, so this is in the third round. I mean, over Tyreek, CD, I mean, and like significantly over these guys. I mean,
Yeah.
over AJ Brown, I mean, Mike Evans, really with Tom Brady. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, okay. T,
Yeah.
maybe, okay. But yeah,
Sure. Yeah. Good with that. Good with that. Kyle Pitts in the fourth round stands out the most to me. That's just way, way too high. I think it's way too high for the tight end position. It's also just way too high for Pitts when you're going to have um, an abysmal offense, an abysmal organization, an abysmal quarterback. Yeah, I understand he's Kyle Pitts, but the tight end position is not valuable enough to warrant that pick. I used to take Travis Kelce at 5 overall. I don't think I'll be doing that this year, but I get it that you do want a positional edge at tight end. I don't think that's where you find it in the fourth round Pitts. If anything, I prefer Mark Andrews in the third over Kyle Pitts in the fourth. So that's what I think stands out the most in the fourth round.
agree. Yeah, I agree with that one. The one that stands out in the fifth round for me, the Aaron Jones pick, I'm really liking his value as of right now. He's one of the guys that if you wind up whiffing on, because I mean, look at how many running backs are being drafted ahead of him. I mean, it looks like at least 12-ish.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
he's yep.
so, yeah, I mean, if we're going to be able to get him without Devontae Adams still with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I think that's great value right
16,
there.
running back 16
Running back 16, yeah, give me that all day
for Aaron
long.
Jones.
Yeah.
Yep, which and we'll get to here soon. AJ Dillon might end up being one of our surprises because yeah, he's being drafted pretty high. DK Metcalf in the 6th round stands out to me a lot. I just don't think he goes around the likes of Mike Williams and Jerry Jeudy, 2 guys that I'm okay with. But even like Jerry Jeudy over Cortland Sutton, I don't see why you have to do that either. So if I can take DK Metcalf in the 6th when I feel like he's still, I think the conversation really needs to be like a tier with Deontay, Keenan, and DK, not like DK, Moore, Cooper, and McLaurin, because while we like McLaurin and DJ Moore, their situations matched with their abilities, like it's too much of a gap for me. Whereas I think that DK Metcalf and the way that he produces is going to be, I understand it's Drew Lock, or it's going to be better than Drew Lock. Maybe Malik Willis plays really well for them, but either way, I just think that DK Metcalf's talent is just one tier above where he is being drafted.
Yeah. Out of the 7th round, I'm going to cheat and take 2 picks. It's those first 2 at 701 and 702, Michael Pittman and Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, both I think are in prime situations in order to definitely meet or exceed like their ADP value. Pittman for sure, because we already saw his deep ball ability with Carson Wentz. But even if you don't get the deep balls from Matt Ryan, you should at least get the stability or the efficiency with Matt Ryan, putting him in the right positions in order to win. And that's really where Michael Pittman wins. Like we saw that when he was still at USC. So, and then with Juju Smith-Schuster, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, like his average depth of target has decreased or steadily decreased over the past like 4 seasons. His deep ball rate has also decreased over the past 4 seasons. And if really their wide receiver 1 is now essentially Travis Kelce at this point, who runs similar routes, I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster could essentially be like their wide receiver, de facto wide receiver 1, with Mecole Hardman and MVS like running clear out routes like all the time. Those guys have tactical value. Juju Smith-Schuster is the one that I'm really wanting to target. So I love both those picks right there being in the 7th.
Sure. We spent a lot of time talking about Chris Godwin, so I'll go to my second most surprising in this round. It's J.K. Dobbins. I'm just surprised that the NFL community is still drafting him so high when everybody panicked about the Melvin Gordon signing. I thought that he was going to instantly be down sharing with that Chase Edmonds, Miles Sanders, CEH tier that I like so much. I thought he would be right there in that, which would be a massive, massive overreaction. So I don't necessarily love where his ADP was when I started these drafts. I kind of like where it's at now. I'm surprised that it's still there, though. Given the panic that I saw on Twitter, I definitely thought that he'd be a lot lower. And let's just do 2 more rounds because people aren't going to care about after 10. So you're on 9th round.
Cool. We already talked about it anyway. It's Brandon Cooks, and we talked about the arbitrage situation. What's the difference between Terry McLaurin and Brandon Cooks? I mean, terrible quarterback play, wide receiver. Actually, Brandon Cooks had a higher target share like than Terry McLaurin last year, and he's being drafted.
And Brandon Cooks just got paid
6 rounds later. 6 rounds later for a similar opportunity. Yeah, I will take Brandon Cooks all day long. Once again, he's going to be one of the most undervalued wide receivers, like in the middle rounds.
And I'll go to last round, round 10, and just point to somebody who isn't here. This is where Jameson Williams should be. This is where Jameson Williams is going to end up being. You have Olave. Olave usually doesn't go here for what it's worth. We just had the biggest Olave fan in the world in our draft. I'm seeing if it was a name I recognize. It is not a drafter I recognize. So in the 10th round, you have Olave, Bateman, Gallup, Claypool, London, Renfro, Lockett, Kirk. I'll take Jameson Williams over everybody here except maybe Gallup. That's a decent conversation between Jameson Williams and Michael Gallup. I don't
they
trust
probably got injured at about the same time, didn't they?
That's a fair point. Gallup's shown us a little bit in the NFL though. Tyler Lockett, gosh, I love Tyler Lockett, but look, if I'm going to stand so hard for DK Metcalf, I do not stand hard enough for Drew Lock to support both of them. So I've got to pick one. So if I think that DK Metcalf is being undervalued, if I say that Tyler Lockett's undervalued, then I have to say that Drew Lock is undervalued, and I'm just not mentally prepared to do that. So I cannot say that we should be drafting Tyler Lockett at this point in time in this round. Hunter Renfrow might be underrated. I just don't know. There's too much going on with that offense right now with Devontae Adams. Like, does it turn into Matt LaFleur's offense where it's literally just Devontae Adams and the rest of the offense revolves around what they take away from Devontae Adams. The starting point is feed Devontae Adams. Plan B is literally the rest of the offense. All the
Yeah.
rest of the offense is a plan B. So is that what it's going to be for Hunter Renfrow? I don't know. I mean, we could see Randall Cobb production out of Hunter Renfrow, and that would be sad and upsetting.
For
So
sure.
I can't advocate for Hunter Renfrow that early either. Do you have anything else from this draft before we get on out of here?
No, I think this was fun. I'll probably actually, you know what? For the next time that we do this, let's flip the script, and I'll be the one driving the Superflex like draft. So I've never done one, so I'll dip my toes into it, and you guys can watch the calamity ensue afterwards.
Cool. Good show. So I appreciate everybody for coming out. This is a NFL show with Adam Wilde and Chris Allen. We are new around the block, so we really need help with those subscriptions, those likes, those comments. Even if you hate it, hey, the comments help. So go ahead and send us a comment. But we will catch y'all next week, and peace.
Peace.